Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Veda and this is The Simple Budget. Here on my channel, I show you how my family is using the zero-based budgeting method in order to get out of debt and simplify our financial life. If that sounds like content that you're interested in, I would love it if you would hit the subscribe button and join our little crew here. And with that being said, let's get into today's video. Alrighty, well, hello everyone and happy Wednesday. This video is going up later than I usually like to put them up, but that is because I have already filmed this video and I decided to re-film it. So those of you who are returning to my channel know that I have been recovering from what I thought was the flu. We said that it was the flu just because my COVID test came up negative. And I don't have a frame of reference because I've never had the flu before, but I have had COVID before. And in the aftermath of COVID, I had unbelievable brain fog. Like I just felt like I was living in the twilight zone for, I would say, probably a good solid 2 weeks afterward. Like I just couldn't get my bearings straight, and I felt like I wasn't even like living in my own body for some of that time. You guys will have to let me know if that was like a symptom of yours as well. Well, I am experiencing that this time around as well. So again, I took a COVID test. It came up negative, but the brain fog that I have been experiencing has been very, very similar to that. And I recorded my budget with me this morning. It's now like mid-afternoon. That I'm recording this, and I recorded it this morning, and it took me so long to film it, and it took me so long to get through some of the most basic thoughts. And so Mr. Simple is working from home today, and he was like, why don't you just take a nap and like try to recuperate a little bit of your brain and then, get into the rest of the day. And so that's what I've done. I took a nap. I'm feeling a little bit more like myself. And so I figured I'm just going to re-record the whole stinking video. And so that's what I'm doing. And so today is the February budget with me. We are already approaching February. It's so crazy. This year, I know we're only a month in, but it's flown so far. So let's go ahead and jump into, I'm going to zoom you guys in. Well, actually here, first I'll pop into my budget planner here. The actual binder itself is from a small business called Jumping Fox Designs. I'll go ahead and link the binder for you guys below. My budget planner, though, is of my own creation. So I have this available in 2 different formats. You can download it in pieces and print it out, because I have like debt sections in here and annual sections. And then I just have like my monthly, I have the calendar sheets as well. And then I have like the monthly budget sheets that you can download and print. But then I also have an annual digital one that works on like note share apps and things on a tablet. So anyways, let's pop into February here. I've already like set out the calendar and when our different anticipated dates of pay are. This isn't really relevant to you guys because I just kind of evenly split out what we're going to be cash stuffing on a weekly basis. And so since we leave our bills and expenses money in our account, that serves as like our buffer. And so it doesn't really matter when I cash stuff because I do a pretty even split across the board. And for those of you who may be new to my channel, that may be confusing to you, but if you get stuck into watching a bunch of different YouTubers who do zero-based budgeting and cash stuffing, eventually all of the words that I'm saying are going to make sense to you, even if you just watch my channel for any significant period of time. So anyways, let me just go ahead and get you guys zoomed in on this sheet, and then we will get into the budget. Alrighty, so just to give a brief little overview here, what I do on my channel is called zero-based budgeting. That means that we take a look at our income as a whole for the month, and we make a plan for every single dollar. You don't spend every single dollar in a month, at least you hope that you don't, but you earmark money for certain categories of spending that will come up over the course of a year in your budget. So for example, you may not go on a date with your significant other every single month, but if you put money toward your dates category of your budget every single month, that money will be there and available to you when you do decide to go on a date. Just like vacation, just like Christmas. These are not things that you spend money on in each of those categories every single month, but they're a sinking fund. So you sink some money into that category of your budget so that whenever that expense does come around, the money will be sitting and waiting for you to use instead of just swiping a credit card because you didn't have a financial plan. So zero-based budgeting gives you a financial plan for the entirety of your year, but you have to be disciplined and budget yourself every single month so that you have the money available to you. And so that's what we do here. Some people do what's called budget by paycheck, where they just sit down for every single paycheck and they decide what they're going to do with that paycheck specifically. My husband and I just do a monthly overview because he is a salaried employee. And even though I am not, I'm paid by the hour, my schedule is consistent enough that we can project what I'm going to make each pay period. So that's how we just decide to handle our budget every month. And then we do go ahead and cash stuff on a weekly basis. Because as I mentioned, I think earlier in the video, we leave our bills and expense money in our checking account. So it kind of works out that we always have enough money in there to cash stuff every single week, even though we're not being paid every single week. So now I'm going to go ahead and get stuck into it. So we've got the month of February. Mr. Simple's off to the side, walking through my video and making foot noises. Not that foot noises are really a thing, but anyways. So we're going to have a little bit of a change with Mr. Simple's income. He's due for a little bit of a raise and sort of like a promotion. It's not really a promotion, but we're not really sure what those numbers look like yet because it's going to kind of happen piecemeal. And so for the month of February, we just kind of did a little bit of math and tried to figure out like what the raise would, or how the impact would raise his, this is where my brain is not working, how the raise would impact his pay. So what we've kind of projected for him for the month of February is $8,000. We're still sorting out all the kinks. And once the income comes in by March, I think we're supposed to know like the totality of the increase in pay. But for now, we just figured, let's just say $8,000 and just kind of go from there. And then for me, this is for the total for him for the month. For me, we split mine up so that in the event of some sort of discrepancy with my income, we can address it per paycheck. So if I end up being $60 shy, what we usually do actually is take that out of our house project budget, which if you're new to my channel, we'll get to a little bit further down the line here. Because that's like always first off the chopping block because it's completely unnecessary money. So that's why we spell mine out, each of my pays out, what we're projecting, so that we can just address any discrepancies within that one paycheck. So for my first one, I am supposed to be making $710. And for my second one, it's supposed to be $690. And so, excuse me, the total of this for the month will leave us $9,400. And then this is obviously what we make our entire plan off of. So when I am finished filling out the sheet, all $9,400 will be accounted for. Again, the money isn't spent inside of the month. But you're coming up with a plan for each of those dollars within the month. So the best thing to do when you're dealing with a budget, if you happen to be new to this way of life, is to delve into what we call like the four walls. Why don't you be a little louder? We go into the four walls. And so very first up, you have to pay for where you live. And so that's what we do. So our mortgage is $2,489. and 33 cents. And then next up, our water bill. This is something that fluctuates from month to month. It really just depends on the time of year. Obviously, in spring and summer, we are watering our lawn with regularity because the sun is out, and very seldom do we get rain in the summertime here in Texas, at least in my experience here so far. So we just make sure that every single month we're putting enough money toward it to cover those months in the summer when we're really using our water a lot more frequently. And so that is $110 a month. The nice thing about doing this way of budgeting is, from month to month, we're not going to use all $110. And so we just roll over whatever is remaining in each category. And you'll see this with a couple of our utilities. And so I won't go into the full explanation for each of them. But whatever money we roll over just kind of sits in that category in our checking account. And we know what it is. We know what the money we're rolling over is from month to month. And so that if we do get a really big water bill, whatever overage we have from rolling it over consistently will cover that. So it's really nice. Life insurance is up next for us, and that is $42.06. And car insurance is another one that's been kind of like fluctuating here and there, but we just put $130 at it, and hopefully that will cover whatever number they've thrown a dart at on the wall to decide to charge us for car insurance this month. Next up, my husband and son both train jujitsu, and that cost for them every single month is $187.38. Next up, our internet bill. This one never changes, bless its little heart, and it's $55.58. And next up is phone. This is another one that I swear they just pick a number out of a hat and throw it at you from month to month. So we just go ahead and put $115 at it. It's usually somewhere in this neighborhood. And I think if we do have an overage for this one, we might roll a little bit over, but then eventually we just decide to take this money and put it in our, we call it the virtual coin jar. It's like our miscellaneous little buffer fund that we have in our checking account. It's not much. It's just a little bit from month to month. Next up is our electric bill. And this one we decided, I think pretty much right away when we moved in, $200 a month would be what we put for this one, because it covers the times of year where we're using either a bunch of heat because it's super cold or a bunch of air conditioning because it's super hot. And so $200 it is. I'm losing my, groceries is up next. Groceries is always a topic of conversation here at the Simple Budget. Our grocery bill is very, very high. It's a combination of things. It's quantity and it's quality. So my husband and son especially eat a lot of food. They are both tall. I'm 5'10" and my son is almost my height now, and he's 12. And my husband is 6'5". So we're just like a family of giants. And so quantity wise, we eat a lot of food, but I'm also very, very, very particular about the quality of food that we consume. I recognize that is a luxury, and trust me, if push came to shove and we lost our jobs and stuff, we would have to really take into account cutting our grocery bill significantly. But because of the reality of inflation, our grocery bill has gone up over the last couple of months especially. And so we've decided to start putting an extra $100 a month toward it, with the increase in my husband's pay, and also just because we have to accommodate for the fact that groceries have been expensive. And if you guys could see, I don't leave there with a lot of fun stuff. I do have little snacks and stuff for my kids for school, but for the most part, it's just meat and veg and milk and butter. I'm not a very exciting grocery shopper. I'm not a very good cook. I'm a much better baker than I am a cook. And you would think for what I'm spending on groceries, I would have this cart full of, I don't know, exciting things. I don't. It's just meat and veg mostly. But anyway, so this month our grocery bill is going to be $1,800. it's been 1,700 the last couple of months. And for January, especially, I felt like we were always going over. So I decided going into February, we'll just increase it 100 and see what happens. Next up is our gas. This is just for our car. And this one gets $150 a month. We don't really drive a lot. We don't really go many places. And so $150 seems to cover us for that. Okay, and then household and toiletries are up next. These both have a decent little buffer in them right now. And so for the month of February, we are going to be putting $70 toward each of them. And we'll kind of see what happens. This is one that if you are new to like budgeting in general, always budget more for household and toiletries than you think you're going to need, because I swear this has been the one, or these have been the two categories that we have had a really difficult time actually nailing down and making sure that we're putting enough money toward them every single month. So we'll see how this goes. Next up is our subscriptions. This covers, Apple Music, Netflix, that kind of stuff. And right now our subscription bill is $64.75. This one would definitely be on the chopping block in the event of like a lost job or something. But we keep it in this category because they're expenses that come up every single month, or in this section of the budget sheet rather. Next up is our pest control, because we live in Little Australia, aka Texas. The amount of creatures that live here, I swear. Our pest control is something that gets taken care of quarterly, but we, make sure that we're putting money at it every single month so that we have enough money there when we actually have to get the service. And they increase their prices. So it's $43 this month instead of the $40 that we've been paying the last, year and a half or so. Next up is taxes. This is just pays the person who does our taxes for us, and we give it $30 a month to facilitate that. Our HOA fee, I'll leave my commentary about HOAs off to the side for now. I hate them. It's $17 a month for that, and this is just an annual charge, or the bill is due annually, but we put money toward it every single month to make sure that we've got money there when it's due. Finance coach is another one we get a lot of questions about just kind of throughout the month when we're cash stuffing. This is a subscription service basically that we pay for every single year. There's a guy who offers it who watches the stock market and kind of makes recommendations for where to put your, which funds to put your retirement in. And so he charges $60 for an annual membership, and it's definitely been worth it to pay him for that. And so that means that we just put $5 a month toward it so that we have $60 for the year when it's due. I think it's in September. Union dues is up next. This is just something for my husband's job. I really couldn't even explain it to you because I don't understand it myself. I just know that we have to pay these dues once a year, and it's $15 a month for that. The next three categories are actually traditional sinking funds, but I don't have space over here for them, so I always roll them over here. And it's our zoo membership, our pool membership, and now for the foreseeable, we're going to be adding vacation into the way that we budget on a monthly basis, because it's not once we're done paying down our debt, we'll probably earmark money for vacation every single month. What we've been doing this year and last year is any kind of unexpected money that comes into us. So for example, in December, my husband got a Christmas bonus. And then in January, I was the beneficiary of some money from the estate of my grandfather, which sounds really, really fancy. And I promise you that this man was not wealthy. He's a Depression era man. And I mean, they were that kind of poor, dirt poor. He had to quit working in the 8th grade in order to be able to help contribute to the family's finances. But he and my grandmother lived pretty frugal lives. And so they had a little bit of money that they were able to then pass down to their children when they died. And because my dad was their son, and because he has already died, my dad's children are considered the next of kin for that. And so me and my siblings split the money that would have gone toward my dad. And before you come after me, I went to my mom and I tried convincing her to take the money, and she did not want it. She wanted us kids to have it, because I felt like it should have gone to my mom, and I still feel like it should have gone to my mom because my parents were married for 40 years, and I know that from a legal standpoint, it makes sense that it went to my siblings and I, but I still felt like my mom should have been the beneficiary of that. Anyway, all of that to say, right now, because we're paying down our debt and vacation isn't like a necessity, we just hope that we'll be able to take different money that we get throughout the year that we kind of expect that we might get, but don't necessarily plan for. So like a tax return or like a bonus or something like that. And that's what we've been pooling vacation money for. And so that's what we did this year. And so from that Christmas bonus and from the money from my grandfather, we've put aside some vacation money. But since we know we're going, we decided to incorporate it in our budget from like February through June, just so that we can really make sure that we're funneling some money toward it. So anyways, that was a really long explanation for why vacation is now part of our budget for the foreseeable. But we're finding a way of like squeezing it in, and just making it work. So anyways, the zoo gets $16 a month from us. The pool gets $32. It is the most expensive and shortest membership that we are a part of. And then the vacation this month is getting $50, but I will also be supplementing this with like my Etsy and YouTube pay as well, because we really want to make sure that we have enough money at vacation every single year or every single month so that we can enjoy it this year. So, in the interest of saving time, because these videos are always really long, I already know, obviously, since I already recorded this, what the total for this section is. So I'm just going to tell you. So it's $5,692.10. And so then, here, let me just grab my calculator really quickly. So starting from 9,400 minus 5,692 and 10 cents, we're left with $3,707.90 to do other things within our budget. So, first up, we always, despite the fact that we don't roll into our debt next, because our debt pay down is like a huge thing for us. If you're new to my channel, we started 2023 with almost $60,000 in debt. And at the end of 2023, we had paid off 35,000 of that. So 2024 is our year of paying our debt off. Thank God. But it still gets a huge chunk of our budget every single month. Our goal amount is somewhere between $2,300 and $2,500 to pay down every single month to get rid of our debt, which means that we live below our means, which is kind of necessary when you've gotten yourself into that much financial trouble. But what we do actually is we make a plan for all of our life sinking funds next in our budget. And the reason why we do that is because we want to make sure that we are living a sustainable financial life moving forward, even after we pay off our debt. So the budget that you see from us from a month to month standpoint is not actually really going to change all that much once we get out of debt. The extra, $2,000 plus that we have in our budget every single month right now that we're paying toward our debt is going to then go toward savings and building up our retirement and, dream building and all of those sorts of things. Because we do have financial goals in the future that we'd like to meet. So, but for the time being, okay, so I was temporarily interrupted because my daughter came home from school. That's how late in the afternoon I'm filming this. I never filmed them this late, but you just got to work within the confines of what you have. Anyway, I don't remember exactly what I was saying, but basically the point for us is to make sure that we are budgeting in a sustainable way, so that even after we're done paying off our debt, we can still operate off of the habits that we've set for ourselves in doing it this way. And so in order to do that, we like to make sure that we're funding our life as we would if we didn't have debt. We definitely give some of these things a little bit less than we would if we didn't have debt, or than if we didn't have debt. But the principle remains, like, this is mostly how we're going to fund our lives moving forward, even after our debt payoff has been achieved. So that being said, first up, we go in, and first is car expenses. And this covers basically like building up a tiny emergency fund for like a car related emergency. And it also funds our car registration every year. And so we give it $57 a month, the $50 being for like a little mini car emergency, and then the $7 being for our car registration. Well, and it's not just for emergencies too. It's like for oil changes and stuff like that. But the idea of building this one up is so that we don't have to tap into our emergency fund for something like, I don't know, changing tires or whatever, that we're building this up enough that we'll have the money there for us if we need to do that. Next up is the same, it's home maintenance, and it's the same sort of thing. Anything that might go wrong with our house, building up a little emergency fund, like a buffer emergency fund, so that we don't have to tap into our big emergency fund if something goes weird in our house. And that one is $50 as well. Next up is medical. We always put a little bit more at this one. This one gets $75 because emergency room visits and co-pays and all of that are, more likely to creep up throughout the year than this other stuff. Clothes, because my children are giants and grow with frightening regularity, we put $50, anywhere from like $50 to $100. It just depends on what our budget is looking like for month to month and what we're like saving up for. But $50 a month puts us in a pretty reasonable way when it comes to needing to like replace clothes for my kids, clothes and shoes for my kids especially. Haircuts, this is just the expense for my husband and kids. I set aside money for my own, but it gets $80 a month. And then personal spending money is up next. This is for my husband, it's $50 a month. And then for me, it's $175, but women, we cost more. We just cost more. Well, and also he does jujitsu and I don't. And sometimes I like little beauty treatments here and there, and I just cost more. That's just really what it is at the end of the day. I cost more money. Dine out is up next. We don't eat out a lot. This mostly just covers like if my kids get a little Chick-fil-A thing, and that gets $60 a month. Work food is up next. And this is just if my husband or I decide to grab a bite to eat or like a little coffee when we are at work. Oh, I couldn't find the next one. Dates is up next. It's getting $30 this month. And then so is home decor. I am still saving up for new couch pillows. So, getting closer and closer with every passing month. And then family fun is also going to be getting $30 from us this month. All right, needed a little sneeze break there. We don't really do a lot in the wintertime that requires a lot of family fun money, but I feel like if we put $30 at it every single month, we have a nice build up for when we do go out and do more fun things. House project has been getting $200 or $300 a month from us for the last couple of months, but it's gone down to $200, and that's mostly just because of our increase in groceries and making sure that we're giving money toward vacation. But this one is also supplemented by my Etsy and YouTube paychecks, so I'm not as worried about like fitting in a high number from our actual monthly budget. Gifts is up next, and this is just money that we put aside for mostly just birthday presents for whenever my kids are invited somewhere. But then also this is money that we pull for their birthday gifts as well. And actually somebody asked me, I'm drawing a blank on her name. She was like, what if I saw this comment recently. This was in like the last couple of weeks. What if you want to treat your kids to like a little something here and there? This is the category that we would pull that from. We don't really buy our kids a lot of stuff throughout the year because we do buy them a lot for their birthdays, and then I buy them a ton for Christmas. And so we don't really spend a lot of money on them apart from those two events. But if I am feeling like I want to treat them to a little something, it would come from gifts or even sometimes family fun. It just depends. But those are the two categories that I would pull from to give them a little treat. If it's like a food, like an eating out treat, it would come from dine out or from like my own personal spending if our dine out budget was scant that month. Skint? Somebody knows the word. I know that you'll put it down in the comments for me. Thanks for being my brain, guys. Okay, so next up is Partay. And this funds if we, host any friends for just like, wine and cheese or like birthday parties for our kids. So my daughter's birthday is in the month of February. So we're just putting $50 at it this month, even though Partay is kind of built up decently now. You never know what little last minute expenses will come up and sneak at you. So I decided to give it $50 this month. Back to school is pretty self-explanatory there. We mostly build this one up throughout the year for school supplies, but then also, field trips, picture days, anything like that, that would kind of come up throughout the school year that would cost us some money as well. And then next up, we have our little holidays. So we have Valentine's, Easter, Halloween, and Thanksgiving. Valentine's gets $5 a month, Easter gets $7, Halloween gets $12, and I did say that I was going to be increasing Thanksgiving. I'm giving it $25 this month. We'll kind of see what happens when we actually get to Thanksgiving, if I need to give it more or less. But, that's the nice thing about a budget is you can be flexible. And I mean, if this one ends up taking a hit, it would pull from grocery or whatever. But then I'll know also for next year, like I need to earmark more money toward it so that we are, giving it what it's due. And then this year for Christmas, every single month, we are budgeting $275. And so the total for this section of like non-essential but kind of essential sinking funds is $1,351. And then what we usually do next actually is move down. We have two custodial investment accounts through Fidelity for our kids. And so I just put boy and girl. And we give them $25 a month, just, for a little something when they leave our house. And then finally, so from all of this, so we started with $9,400. In our first section, we subtracted $5,692.10. And then from here, $1,351. And then the 50 down here, and that leaves us with a remainder to put at our debt this month of $2,306.90. So if you happen to be new to my channel, we started last year with 4 debts. We paid off 2 in 2023, and we are currently paying down our credit card that had like a really, really high balance when we started. When we started 2023, I think it had like a $26,000 balance. This is a credit card. And so this one is like our last big monster before we go into a 401k loan that we took out like 3 or 4 years ago. I don't remember. Anyway, so we're paying down the credit card. And so being able to throw this much money at it is really going to help. But this is about the amount that we have always given our debt every single month. I think starting last year, we were somewhere around like $1,900 a month. But then when I got a job, we obviously increased that amount so that we could aggressively pay that debt down. And then in addition to this, I also supplement our debt payment with my Etsy and YouTube earnings as well. So that means that you are helping me pay down my family's debt faster. So thank you for that as well. But this is it. This is what our budget looks like pretty much every single month. This is how we plan out every single dollar. And we are really, really diligent about sticking within the framework that we give ourselves on a monthly basis, because we want to make sure that we are successful financially. And the best way of doing that is to discipline yourself every single month to stick to the plan that you set out for. It doesn't always work every single time. There have been times where we've gone over on vacation spending or holiday spending or whatever it was, and then we've had to finagle things in order to make it work. But by and large, it's like healthy living. You may go off the rails once, but as long as you swerve your cart back around, you're going to be fine, as long as you just keep pushing forward with the plan that you give for yourself. So that's my encouragement to you is, the luster of the new year is behind us, and you may be feeling like, oh, I don't want to stick this out. This is exhausting, or this is boring, or I'm not having as much fun as I used to, or whatever. But I promise you that long term, the benefit of disciplining yourself every single month and sticking with your financial plan really, really, really does pay off huge dividends long term, for, setting you up for the future. So stick with it, even though it's February and it's not as exciting anymore. Just stick with it. And that's it. That is it for today's video, today's budget with me. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I definitely think that I was more coherent this time around. Holy smokes, the first time I filmed it, it was a real nightmare. I was just like, I can't get my brain straight. My thoughts aren't working properly. So I definitely feel like this one landed a little bit better. If you guys did enjoy today's video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. Let me know how your budgeting is going, your 2024 budget so far. One of you just left a comment recently that you just reached your first $500 in your Christmas savings fund. And I'm so excited for you. Like those little victories of knowing that that money is just going to be sitting there and waiting for you at Christmas time it's a huge dopamine hit, I think. Certainly bigger than the dopamine hit that you get from buying something that you can't afford. Knowing that you're saving your money and being responsible and, you're doing that for yourself. Financial care is self-care, guys. It really is. Anyways, I could ramble on about this one. I promise I'm in my right frame of mind, unlike my first video that I filmed trying to do this. Anyway, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you guys did. And then I will be back here with you on Friday with a weekly check-in. We missed it last week because I was still recovering from this flu, COVID, or Flovid, or I don't know. We're going to have to come up with a new name for this one, but man, this one took me out. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and your week, and I will see you back here on Friday with our weekly check-in. Bye, everyone.